Hello, hello. Happy Thursday. How's it going, y'all? Nanigans. Magoo. That's who. Commander Apollo, Imperial, Rhiannon. How's everyone doing? How's it going, gang? All right, let's get some good music going here. There we go. Star Searcher, that's us. Good track. Good track to start with here. How's everyone doing? Heading into the holiday weekend here. That's how you're doing, Imperial. You got a video for us? Let's see what we got going on. Oh my god. You've shared this before, but this is good. I do enjoy this. Willem Dafoe is like a absolute treasure. But yeah, I get it. This is not an endorsement for the pit. Or March Madness, presented by HBO Max. How's everyone going? Welcome to Digital Iliad, episode 338. This is game dev through the eyes of Godot solo developer here. We're working on some FTL-like shenanigans, trying to make some space games in our weird isometric 2D kind of presentation. Gift's so nice, they sent it twice, yeah. I'm good. Tired. I stayed up too late last night, working on our selection outline thing. I'm also experiencing a lot of eye strain today. So, I don't know if we're going to have the longest stream in the world, but we're going to do it. We're going to get it done. The last stream of the week before the Easter weekend holiday here. So, and it's kind of the last stream in what I'm considering kind of, the old process. We really need to get on to our game plan, right? We've got our game plan for Q2 this year. Get the Steam page. We're going to be switching to what I call a screenshot-driven development. Get a Steam page up, get everything we need for a Steam page that looks nice and gets wish lists. That's really the priority. We're wrapping up some other work. Still, today. I say today, there's still some things on the block editor. These things need to get moved over. Would love to wrap this up today. I would love to move these things off into the completed section and move these things on into the in progress, but that's some systems design stuff that we'll be doing in the meantime. We do need to start working on presentation on content and figuring out how we're gonna, well, what is this game gonna look like in the final sense, in this is what the player sees. An eye rest redeem? I do need that. I have some eye issues that become pronounced when I don't sleep enough and I spend too much time in front of the computer, and they've caught up with me. I'll have a weekend away from a computer here. I'll have a long weekend away starting, midday tomorrow, so that'll be nice. I just won't bring my computer with me. Try to give my eyes a rest. Because, yeah, otherwise I'm staring at a screen for, 12 hours a day, and that's rough. That's rough stuff. Oh, yeah, if you're interested in projects from the team, we actually do have on the Discord, we actually have a project. We have a showcase chat, but we also have a project discussion area where people will post threads about their projects. So it's cool. There's a solution. It's in the computer as an app that removes the blue light called Flux. Yeah. There's things you can do about that to change the blue light content. That can help. But it's not something you can run all the time, especially if you're making art. Commander, how was the last 10 minutes of stream yesterday? It was fine. Hey, Remus. We looked for you when we raided out. You hadn't gone live yet. We tried. I popped in a little later to see some of the music production stuff you were doing. This is cool. I like some of the new tracks. So what are we doing? We've set up some new texture atlas indexes. We've set up some new, we want to render these neat outlines. We want to render some of these fancy outlines as opposed to our current outlining methodology, which is simple, but not really what I want. I actually had some ideas about how we're going to augment the two together to get some really good results. But right now I'm working on setting up this kind of dotted line one that I really like. We have a couple ways to approach this. The initial way that I tried to approach it was per face, breaking out this dotted line thing, and then overlaying it on the appropriate block face. I don't love this because it means we need, well, for one thing, this is a 3x3x3 block, and it needs a 4x4x4. Well, this actually is 5. It needs a 5x5x4 or something. It needs this crazy. It has this crazy problem of you are drawing off from the actual block involved to this offset. I want to try something else today that I was mocking up last night. I want to try rendering at the block level and see if we can render per block for this instead of per face. There's a lot of reasons we don't do rendering per block normally, but I'm interested in trying it here. I can clean this file up now, I think. Part of my process is I like to lay the bits out in a way that visually makes sense to me. And then I work on packing it. At first I tried to do a dense packing. Then I realized each of these blocks would have a different offset, and so I did a more loose packing that requires the same offset. Essentially no offset, if I understand this correctly. But yeah, let's clean this file up. Sorry, I missed some chat here. I ended the stream 25 seconds before you started. Oh, that's rough. That's rough. You said a few minutes. I feel like I gave you a few minutes next time. I feel like there will be a next time. Okay, I can't do that. All right, I guess we're just going to clean this up this way by just destroying. Yeah, we're going to try this as opposed to rendering this per face. So this is the same. These are the same things. This and this. It's both to render this kind of a block. This is a per face mapping. And this is a per block mapping. We're going to try the per block. We haven't really done this before. We abandoned it for other purposes, for reasons that become very obvious very quickly. But I think in this case, in terms of just rendering a bounding box around something else, I think this is maybe one of the few cases where block-based rendering is good. And it actually illustrates some problems that we have with trying to render things that are bigger than a single block. It's illuminated some issues with that for me, and it's helping me to think about it for some future cases. All right. Everyone gets sidetracked playing around with 3D pixel art, Rhiannon. It's because 3D pixel art is just too cool. All right, how big is this? I want to say 120. Yeah. Okay, and how tall is it? I want to say 244. Almost. 242? Yeah, okay. Almost got it. Almost got it. We're going to call this the cursor expanded for now because I can't be bothered to change the naming conventions of this yet. Does mean, so what we did have to do is we had to make a new format for it. And because we made a new format, we're going to try some stuff out with it. 3D pixel equals voxel style. No, a 3D pixel literally is a voxel, but when people are talking about 3D pixel art, they're usually talking about 3D art, like 3D meshes and models that have been processed to appear as if it's pixel art. There's some cool examples of it in Rhiannon and Diginanigans project threads and around. Yeah, I don't think 3D pixel has to necessarily be correlated with a voxel style. It's more about getting the 3D mesh data to look as if it's like 2D pixel art or something like that. Made famous by Dead Cells, who were early pioneers, who put out examples of how they did the 3D to 2D art pipeline. That paper is probably, it's not a paper. Dead Cells, 3D art workflow. I don't know. But you can use a 3D art pipeline. Oh my lord. Rip Gama Sutra. You know what I mean? They have some cool stuff in this. So yeah, they would model and animate their character in 3D. And then they would map it to 2D. This also is a way to do it. This isn't, you can do it at the asset creation level, which is what they did here, but you don't necessarily have to do it at the asset creation level. You can also have the 3D art in the world and use post-processing to achieve the pixel art effect. So there's a couple of ways you could go. There's definitely trade-offs between doing it at the asset creation time versus trying to do it in real time. But there's cool stuff you get for free, like normal mapping. You get a really strong sense of lighting and motion without having to pay the normal heavy cost of doing that sort of thing in 2D. Very cool. It's a very cool approach. It's probably the recommended approach nowadays to do 2D art, because it's generally cheaper to do things like animation in 2D, or in 3D, I mean. Can also help if you're doing stuff that's modular, right? But yeah, this is a good article. I'll throw this in the chats here. It's an article anyone should read who's thinking about doing something like this. But yeah, you can't really argue with Dead Cells. All right, so we made a new format. I called it the edges texture format, which I don't love. I'm gonna name this something else. We'll continue with the cursor expanded or whatever. I do technically have a 3D pixel art style game that I made. That's less like aiming for pixel art, and that's more of like a PSX style downsampling thing. Why am I in the door all of a sudden? Gotta reopen this file, I guess. I'm still really tempted to implement our bounds-based buffering to tighten up the size of the buffer that you need here. Because we could do this really easily with a much smaller set. But we're just going to pay the price so I don't have to think about it right now. I think everything else about this is correct. 3 by 8. Yeah. 3 by 8. That's what I said, right? Block tile counts. 6 by 3. No, 3 by 8. I'm not sure about the block tile offsets. We're going to have to play with these. I know it's the same offset. I just don't know what it is. Dave, did your lighting in your project get messed up in Godot version 4.6.2? I don't know. I don't have lighting in my project, so I can't tell you. I'm sorry. This being a 2D game, we're kind of doing our own stuff for that. Hey, Nanigans hopping over to the Twitch. Oh yeah, there's some stuff in the tools discussion for 3D pixel art. Cool. Hey, Matthew Sparks, how's it going? Been out of loop last few weeks. How's the game coming along? It's cool. We're trying to switch gears. Well, this week we've been trying to wrap up this little new selection overlay that we can like draw out to help you better visualize what you're boxing and like what you've selected. But in general, we're trying to switch to a new phase of development where we are focused a lot more on art content and presentation, and we're going to try mocking up a lot of game scenes, and I think that's going to be fun. We're trying to wrap up some technical challenges today of just, do we try to render this dotted line box thing per block, or do we try to render it per face? Like, you know, thrilling, exciting considerations like that, you know. But how are you doing? Happy long holiday weekend here, hopefully, for you. Starting soon. All right. Well, we need to add this to the thing. We'll just keep calling it cursor expanded for now. Ugh. I don't know what to do with this. The system I have here for distinguishing these is falling apart. Let's say something like public block texture atlas format. Say block select. Maybe we could call it bounds. Because this is really for rendering bounds. So I want these to be somewhat reusable. Whoa. Did not do what I wanted. Alright. So what we're gonna try. I have regrets about how I've structured these things. I thought it would be neat to have our own texture atlas format script that could help us describe these things, but the way I've constructed it is kind of a pain. So like this one captures 3 different faces because it's like the regular one captures all 3 faces. The one we have, we just want to capture the first. We're just going to have block tile buffer. Instead of X face or Y face or Z face, we're just going to have block. So that's how we're going to distinguish these. Nanigans, next 2 things you want to play with your pixel art shaders or changing your edge lightings, depending on if they are in light versus shadow. I think you want to distort your camera slightly so it stretches out the voxels. So then the pixel art looks closer to a traditional time map. Oh, that could be interesting. Interesting. Stretches out the voxels. Do you not use... You're using like an orthographic camera, I assume. I did not know. I did not follow the Artemis 2 launch, but it's funny that there's some... that they ran into some micro slop issues. Wait, what was this? Block tile counts? Block tile offset. Block tile origin. Block tile region. What's your problem? Never instantiated. All right, so we're going to add this here. Yeah, we'll see what we do. I hope that this isn't that hard to get this over the line here. I would like to work on some other stuff. Did I not just make a block texture atlas format? Why can't I? Oh, I called it a bounds. Why did I call it bounds? I mean, I guess I know why I called it bounds. By block texture atlas format could be good. Per face texture atlas format could be good. Call it a bounds texture atlas format. Now we'll go with that for now. We're trying not to get distracted by things, by intractable problems such as, you know, naming things. Cursor expanded. I guess the EXP stood for experimental, but you know, lean into the ambiguity. And then we need to build this out here for whatever reason. Cursor bounds, okay. Cursor format. Hey, Sapphire, how's it going? And again, see how you're using an orthographic camera in the latest iterations. Your camera's looking down on roughly a 30-degree angle. Okay. So if you're rendering a top face, for example, in the y-axis, if you draw every voxel as 1 square pixel, that means some voxels by necessity will get skipped to keep everything in perfect progression. Yes. Let me see if I understand what you're talking about then. You just don't like the way it's the way it's choosing to draw or not draw certain pixels. That's fair. Does your editor not just let you use F2 refactor rename? Yeah, but I don't know what the context you're talking about it in, but if you want me to rename these, it'll rename all of them, which I don't want. Never presume. I'm just gonna call this, cursor expanded. Now we'll call it bounds. Bounds format. Close the cursor. Actually, I think I want to call it the bounds texture atlas format. Let's go change these things. I'm not sure what the context was in what I was doing for what I would need to want to rename everything for, but I don't doubt that it occurred. That's actually something that's annoying in Godot is refactoring file stuff like that can be really annoying. And especially in game jams, I just won't refactor or rearrange things because it's kind of slow. Problem with my chat latency. So by the time you read a comment about something I'm doing, I have no idea what I was doing anymore. Classic streamer brain problem. Sometimes I feel like you don't want to rename everything because you want to see all the pieces that thing touches, and sometimes the easiest way to do that is to just straight up break it. That's not me trying to, defend my shitty workflow. Okay, I kind of want to change this. I'm going to take this. Cut it. And put it back here. Bounds texture atlas format.cs. So you wanted me to... Oh yeah, Writer takes care of stuff like that. Like if you go into this and you rename the class name, Writer will just rename the file name and stuff like that. And it will just rename... It'll just rename all things with it. Just using the rename tool. Yeah, we have that. We have that capability. Writer's pretty good. Writer's almost got too many things going on, honestly. And yeah, it's a world apart from like the Godot IDE, which has nothing. I think the best you can do is like find and replace, which may or may not work for what you're trying to do. It's generally pretty smart if you try to rename files in the file system. It'll like update all the references and stuff, but it's like really easy to get out of whack in some way trying to do that stuff directly in the Godot editor. Oh, nice, Sapphire. You got a 3-day weekend starting? That's great. You love JetBrains. You tried going back to NeoVim with plugins. It was too much of a hassle. You're using a Vim plugin. You'll just use a Vim plugin for key bindings. Oh, neat. Shenanigans. You enjoy Writer for C# specifically, but you still prefer a lightweight VS Code based editor for everything. I've never used VS Code. I think I was so I think I was so disgusted by Visual Studios that I never imagined VS Code could be better, but I know you can make it better. Hey, nerds. It's April, Mr. Dave. I know it's Q2. It's Q2. The Q2 plan is beginning. Steam page. Steam screenshot-driven development is beginning post-haste, but I'm still stuck on this. I had one last silly little thing I wanted to do, which was to put these new selection overlays in. And now I'm in a conundrum of, rendering them per block or rendering them per face. And we're trying to answer that today. So yes, you're right. But I'm just taking a mulligan. Taking a mulligan this week. We'll get serious. We'll get serious after the holiday break here. And we come back next week. Screenshot driven development. I think it's going to be fun. I think there's going to be a lot more art that we're doing on stream. We're going to explore a lot more of the new characters that we've been making, like our lovely cat Jonesy, our lovely cat slash shapeshifter Jonesy. And we need to come up with a list of like lo-fi characters. I thought of Ripley as the first one. Like Ellen Ripley. But I'm thinking of some other ones I want. I think I want maybe like a Washburn or oh, I had a good one. I had a good sci-fi one. Oh, Dave Bowman. I would love to do a David Bowman character for Lo-Fi Flyby. Maybe some different pets. We're going to work on ship layouts. We're going to set up. The real thing we need to do is some screenshots of like, here's what an actual scene of the game would look like, as well as some more capsule art kind of stuff. We're gonna be big on content soon, but there is some system stuff that I want to wrap up. But we're getting to it. We're getting there. We're getting there. Let's go. I actually got demoed VS Code has almost nothing in common with Visual Studio other than that they're both Microsoft code editors. Yeah. Did I miss your hydrate earlier? I don't know. I've been drinking my coffee pretty regularly. I'll give you another one here. No, I'm just messing with you, Commander. You can hassle me. I don't see the requests a lot. I need more sound effects. I need like a hydrate sound effects. I really want to put in the Dr. Strangelove, you ever seen a commie drink a glass of water voice line from General Ripper, but I feel like that would be a little on the nose. But I'm very tempted to start adding audio cues to more of the redeems so that I actually notice them. Thanks for the stretch, Sapphire. All right, so we're setting up our texture format for this block-based boundary tile sheet. I gotta finish doing that. Then we'll figure out how we want to get the draw commands in place. You were gonna say tea Earl Grey hot. That's a good one too. That's a good one too. Yeah, the General Ripper is hard to beat. Matthew, you're used to programming in the terminal with Helix Editor or Zed when you need more features. Writer always intimidates you a bit because of how much you've got in front of you. I find the opposite of true because it's really easy to ignore things in a GUI. Like I just ignore almost all of these. Like this problems tab, which, you know, has a red dot on it. I should probably look at that, but I'm going to ignore it. But yeah, for me, a terminal is always infinitely more intimidating. I've been using a terminal a lot more because GitHub Desktop really can't handle submodules and maintaining submodules very easily. So I've been using the terminal a lot more for my Git commits and everything, and I'm so uncomfortable in the terminal. I need to practice more. All right, so we have our bounds texture atlas format. Now I need my texture atlas index buffer. Texture atlas index buffer. Yeah, the refactoring in IntelliSense is really good. Oh, what I was gonna say, I had some projects demoed to me yesterday from some people in my local Godot community. We were having a virtual meetup, and I got demoed some crazy, incredible projects that were made very quickly in Godot and have just like incredible graphical fidelity. It was intimidating, but it was also inspiring. Bounds comp. We just need one comp, right? Probably call it like the format comp. I don't think I need to store this for very long, so I'm just gonna call it an index buffer. But yeah, it really lit a fire under my feet here. We need to get cooking. We need to get cooking. So why do I do this? Why do I have to pass? Why don't I just make it so I can pass one of these whole things? I don't know what's going on now. Index buffer is this. Get this. New one of these. We're grabbing the bounds format. Yeah, I should just be able to pass in the whole format. I shouldn't need to specify. I don't know why I did it this way. Some part of me thought it would be easier. Yeah, I don't know why this is. Oh, it's because these are all primary attributes. Then I just want a constructor. Here's an example of how I do this. Hope everyone's having a great Thursday here. This, right. That's how this goes. Counts. Offset. Origin. It's cool that the little autocomplete thing knew what I was doing. And it served up the exact right variable. Is this sufficient? Do I need to do any more? I don't think so. All right, a little constructor that can take a format directly, a bounds format at least. Now we can do like this instead of having to pass everything directly. I'll go back and fix that for the others. At least we only need the one comp when doing this way. I don't love that I have to keep track of the different index buffers separately. I should have them all together somehow. Not sure how. I guess it's not really feasible to do it that way. Variable index buffer X. We'll say bounds buffer. This is the comp, right? We can say buffer comp. The way we do this is wildly inefficient. But it's known that it's wildly inefficient. Vector 3i, so it's a vector 4i coords that we're passing in here, and then we need to say bounds buffer. We can't do a cursor bounds.getIndex. That's unfortunate. Hey, K-Cug, how's it going? Happy Thursday. So I use a vector 4 for encoding these because there's a difference between, so like this block gets rendered behind everything and this rock gets rendered in front of everything in terms of how this interacts. You can't render them together. And otherwise, well, these aren't good examples because negative, positive, negative, positive. Yeah, so these have the same vector 3 atlas coordinates, and the only difference between them is that one is being rendered in front and one is being rendered behind, so we're using that W component to reflect that. But it does mean that we can't just cheat and use the get index of this boundary because there's no bounding box. Is there should I have like an AABB v4 that's like a vector 4 bounding box? That might be kind of neat. But I'd literally only use it for like doing some of these simple bounds checks. So what we can do instead is we can just do what we used to do, which would be coords. Oh, but it can't. Here, we're gonna kind of hack this together. We're gonna say coords.x plus 1 plus coords.y plus 1. And that's because I know the bounds of this. Really what we should do is we should say coord.x plus 1. Coord.x like minus the bounds.minimum. But I don't want to do that. Now we could. So instead I'm just going to do the worst thing of all, which is to hard code a solution here. So we'll say coords.y plus 1 times 4. Plus coords.z plus 1 times 16 plus coords.w plus 1 times 64. And that should give us our index. And maybe we just run that and see what happens. You know what? Before we do that, let's update we'll build. And we'll try to make sure. A quiet day today, huh? I hope everyone's just locked in. Just doing their work, just hanging out. I'm gonna call this the Bounds Texture Atlas. Why not? Bounds Texture Atlas. Format. And then that means I want to rename a few things. Cursor block expanded. I guess I don't need to rename that, but I'm going to. And we'll reopen this as the bounds block. Focus on a few different things and drain. Nanigans, looking forward to the long weekend. Hell yeah. Sapphire, chilling, playing Minecraft. Winding down. That all sounds great. Yeah. Yeah, I'm supposed to have a co-working tonight. I think I'm gonna skip it. This eye fatigue is like making it hard to really work on. Art's a little better, but it's really hard to look at the code editor. I make it a little easier by blowing up the text to be really big. It's kind of a side effect. Side benefit of blowing up the text for it to be readable on stream is that it's like actually has reduced. I think it's reduced my eye fatigue. We're so back. Welcome back, Commander. I wish I could say Apollo the same way that Rex says Shepherd, but I don't think I could do it. Apollo Shepherd. It's not possible. Back again, like Shady. I had a nickel every time Shady came back.
Maximum warp.
Maximum warp, no jewel. How's it going? Full speed. All right, what is this going to yell at me about? I've forgotten something. I'm sure it just lost the file path. It's going to be like there is no file path to the Bounds Texture Atlas format. The value cannot be an empty string. Yep. I was like, I have a feeling I know what the problem is going to be because I distracted myself before actually doing this. Bounds Texture Atlas format. There we go. All right. What's the next problem going to be? All right. Let's see if we can do this. Shepherd. Apollo. Okay, yeah. You got to drop the first A. You're right. Commander. When I hear Commander, I hear that more in Garrick's. Not Garrick. Garrick? Is the lizard guy named Garrick? Because to me, the only Garrick is from Deep Space Nine. Who's also like a lizard. Not really, but it seems like it. Cardassians are lizard-like. Is that offensive? I don't mean to offend any Cardassians. How's it going, Fusionist? It's good, it's good. We're wrapping up for the week ahead of this holiday weekend here. What is this throwing an error at me about? Bounds.textureatlas format is null, but we're serializing it. JSON. The JSON object contains a trailing comma. Oh my god, I always do that every time. I always feel like the last element of an array should just have a comma because it's easier to expand it that way, and JSON is not happy about that. I realize that this isn't an array, it's a dictionary. And you shouldn't put a trailing comma at the end of a dictionary, but I do it too. For the same reason, for expandability. So then I don't have to think about it. But that's fine. We don't want to give Jason a hard time. Garrus, that's it, not Garrick. I was like, it can't be Garrick. I was like, that would have, something would have triggered in my mind. Garrus. Yeah, that's who I hear when I hear the commander voice. Someone say the commander line. Everyone loves Garrus. All right, now what do we got? Size, component types, component size. What the heck is the component size? 0. Get largest component. We're making a new archetype. We're making an archetype of component ID. Okay, that should be easy. Get largest component. Component type size is 8. Oh, does this need to be a greater than or equal to? Size equals component type. If component types... These are the same thing. What's happening here? Oh, I get what we're doing here. For each flag component in this... Oh, this is weird. This isn't right at all. How did I get away with this for so long? All right, get largest component size. Size is 0. For each component in this composition, our size is component.types for this component. Its size, if it's greater than size. Oh, then set it to be this size. Otherwise, leave it at this size. So 8 is greater than 0. So we picked 8. So, oh, maybe this doesn't exist in the types. Texture Atlas index buffer. Texture Atlas index buffer X. Okay. It just couldn't find it didn't get the right. I hate our component typing system. This all needs to be destroyed and completely rethought. We need some kind of project-based way of dynamically adding components. It cannot be a characteristic of the component itself, really. I mean, we could just have it just be a partial class and just add to it, but I want to come up with a better way of defining components. I don't like the way that I do it. Apollo, you're halfway to affiliate? That's great. Why did we have the same problem here? Size is 0. Entity ID. Size is 0. Component types.size is 8. So it's true. So what is the problem? Through the type initializer for di.ecs.component through an exception. An item with the same key has already been added. Key. Texture Atlas index buffer X. I thought I just fixed this. Ah. They're using the same flag. Oh my god, everything about this is wrong. Okay, that explains it. I was like, wow, we so rarely have ECS errors. I was like unsure of how that's possible. Okay, it looks like everything read through correctly. That last stream did it, you think? You did about 3 hours yesterday? Maybe you should only stream music? Yeah. I think Twitch is pretty flexible. On YouTube, definitely, if you start doing something and you try to switch, it does not like that. But I think on Twitch, people are more likely to follow you for your personality and like stick with you, whether you're doing different work or not. You know, generally speaking. So I wouldn't worry too much about like, you know, only doing one kind of thing. But whatever you do, your audience will get used to it eventually and come to expect that that's the thing that you do. But yeah, I don't know. I've only ever streamed in the software development and the software and game development category. I've never tried any of the other categories. Maybe I've streamed in demos if I've been like, or I don't know. I guess maybe I streamed in RimWorld or Void War when we played those games, but I'll tell you what YouTube hates my Let's Plays. YouTube is like, nobody wants to see you play games, dude. I'm like, fair enough. All right, this all seems fine. So let's see what we can do here. I think you just had a lot more fun yesterday than with any of your game dev streams. Hell yeah. Yeah, do it. I mean, the variety is good. That's part of what keeps me going with this, is like the idea that some days I'm programming, some days I'm making art. In theory, some days I'm doing music, though I haven't really done music on stream, except in a game jam context once. But yeah, you should do what makes you happy, that's for sure. Definitely stream like no one is watching. But yeah, congrats. Affiliate will be a great milestone. You will get there before you even know it. I think I had to do like one game jam and it like got me to affiliate. All right, we're heading into ads. Hold on to your ads, people. If you've got a Prime sub, spend those Bezos bucks. All right, what am I doing now? Now we're actually going to try to render this thing, I think, somehow. So we've got our format. What we need to do, because this is a different process, our current auto tiler doesn't know how to understand blocks. So I rewrote this function, or renamed this function that used to just be add canvas item draws. Now it's add canvas item draws per face. And so this has triplicate effort, right? Because it's got formats for the X, Y, and Z parts of the texture atlas format. It's got I wonder if there's a way, or if it's good form. No. I'm like, is it good form to like store a buffer? To store multiple buffers on a component, but that can't be good. That can't be a good thing to do. So this goes by tile per face. I should say by tile per face. But we're not gonna. Shenanigans, you're still trying to get a proper schedule with your stream. Things have been chaotic lately and you're a bit burnt out. That's not a problem. I mean, it's a problem, but like, don't worry about that. You don't want to work on more complex problems that you don't quite know what you're doing, what you were doing on stream when you're tired. That is fair, but I would not, that's not as much of a problem as it feels like it is. Because I have that same feeling, and streams, as the tiredness is the bigger problem than the trying to work on complicated things, because it's a performance. Even if you're just hanging out, you know, working on stuff and you're not trying to be performative, it is still a performance. And so like your ability to come to it with energy and focus is definitely key. But I've also avoided doing certain kinds of work on stream, and I've actually found that the streams that are kind of all over the place because I'm trying to like get a grip on like something that I don't totally understand, as long as I have the energy and the focus to work through it and I'm not getting frustrated, those are some of my like highest engagement streams, because people really get hooked in to you. Some people really like watching someone work on a problem. And if it's something, and if it seems like they don't know exactly what you're doing, you know, people will try to help you, but people also kind of just like to figure it out themselves too, right? Like, like I think that's fine. Like, I'm not sure how I'm gonna set up my save system for the game yet. I have some options, but I haven't settled on one. And like, I could wait until I have the whole save system planned out before I start streaming it, or I could just go into it. And I think me from a year or two ago would hesitate and not want to work on a system that I don't understand, or something I haven't figured out before. But me today is just like, let's go. Let's just do it. Let's just work on it. We'll figure it out. But yeah, there's definitely a comfort aspect to that. But yeah, it's really hard. It's really hard to come to a stream every day and have the energy and the focus to like deliver. I definitely do not do that to the extent that I should. I am very tired and very unfocused in a lot of our streams. And that also isn't the biggest problem, but community might be able to help with figuring issues out. Yeah, the community is great at giving feedback. It's hard to get a solution from the community just because there's so much context to what you're doing that it's really hard for someone coming in from the outside to like understand the nature of the problem and be able to give like the solution. But it does help direct the conversation, right? It does help push you in a direction and provide some sanity checks. But yeah, definitely a pet peeve I have is when I'm like working through a problem and someone just drive by, hops into the channel and just says like, well, you should be doing it this way. Which is like, please keep telling me things like that. But it's like, especially regulars, those of you who have been here and have followed the development and have maybe a little more context to what we're trying to do. But yeah, you're almost never going to get like a technical solution to a problem from chat because it's so hard for everyone to be on the same page. But the discussion is really where the value comes from, right? The exchange of ideas. All right, so we're going to try to draw canvas item. We're going to try to add draw calls to the canvas item by block. Dave, you need to be using Pygame. Yeah, all my problems would be solved if I just stopped using this engine. Yeah, that's the only truly unhelpful like guy in the chat feedback is when someone comes in and is like, you shouldn't do things this way. Like you should switch to X, not Y. With like no context, just like a unsolicited opinion about, you know, a technology or a process. It almost never happens. But it's like if someone came in and was like, I see you're using an object-oriented framework. You should really switch to a data-oriented design model for this project. And they just hop in and say that to someone who's been working on this project for like 3 years. And it's like, oh yeah, let me go switch from my object-oriented paradigm to a data-oriented model. Let me go do that right quick. It's easy to give that kind of advice. And I've been there before. I've done it. I've been like, I'll tell someone who's like almost done with their game, I'll be like, so Unity, huh? You're using Unity for this? I've been there. I've done that to people. It's like the difference between how good a plan or a thing is on paper versus in reality. It's like on paper, a lot of options for how you would do something is just flat out wrong and like suboptimal and just bad. But in reality, it might be the correct choice, right? For your circumstance and for what you're familiar with and like what you can do and where you're at in the project and what you need to get it out the door. Happens all the time. Good enough for now is good enough to ship, right? That's the only acceptable one. Everyone should really use Godot. It will solve all their problems. Exactly. There's a lot of feedback you'll get that's like that. Where it'll sound simple, but you're like, you run through in your head all the things that would need to change to be able to do that, and it's like, so I'm not going to do that. All right, so we got our format comp. We got our bounds. We know whether we're rendering the corners only. We're going to ignore this corners only thing for now. But that's how we're going to distinguish between, like, I guess that's not how we're going to distinguish. Well, maybe it is. It's going to be how we distinguish between the select block and the cursor block, because the select block is just the corners. And this bounds block is like, has this measuring stick to it. It's got the, it renders the edges, not just the corners. Things are often obvious in hindsight. That's also true, Nanigans. That's also true. People do that for music as well. They'll tell you just use Fruity Loops. Yeah. Nanigans, it takes experience and exploration to find out what works and what doesn't. And when you're in deep enough, it's a question of how much effort is the refactor and how much will you gain if you do it. Yeah. No, that's the real thing, which is tough, is someone will be like, oh, you should really try this. And I'll have to be like, we tried that a year and a half ago. We couldn't do it for these reasons, and that hasn't changed. Nobody's gonna want to hear that. Nobody's gonna want to be like, yeah, but you could just do it this way, and it would be better. And it's like, maybe. That's the hardest thing to give a developer feedback about their project, is you don't know all the things they tried. Because, like, what are the odds that, you know, the game dev didn't think of and try an approach that someone in the chat for like 30 seconds came up with, right? What are the odds? They're not zero. They're not zero. People have come in and just dropped like crazy bombs on me in here of like, well, what if you thought of it this way? And it's like unlocked something on a conceptual level. It's when you get to the technicalities of it where it's like tough. It's tough. But it's good. I wouldn't have it any other way, really. I'm really glad I'm not doing this development in isolation, you know. So many people do. And that kind of leads back into that project I saw yesterday, which was such an incredible technical achievement. And I was like, where's your Steam page? Because your game looks like you could ship it tomorrow. Like, and he was like, no, I don't think I'm not really ready for a Steam page. I'm not really ready for people to look at this. I haven't really like fully fleshed out the content. Like I need more levels. And it's like, you don't need more levels for a Steam page. You don't even need more levels for a trailer. And I was just trying to encourage them to get it out there, get the game out there, get it in front of people. It's going to be hard and you'll have to answer awkward questions and people will give you feedback that's not helpful. But it's like, that's the struggle I see with modern indie game dev that a lot of people don't confront because marketing is hard and social media sucks, is like people are making great things every day and nobody knows about them. Nobody's aware of them. So this guy I was talking to, I was like, just get some YouTube shorts out there. And I was the guy in the chat, you know, being like, you got to do this. You got to get awareness. You have to build awareness of your game or no one will care. And you'll drop this game, and unless, like, you know, Splattercat picks up the demo and you get 1 million wish lists from that or something, or like Markiplier or something, unless you win the social media lottery, which is very unlikely, you need to put in that work. Like, you need to get eyes on your game. And that's part of what I like to encourage from people in the community. At least share the game here with us in the community. Like, at least start sharing it. Start getting eyes on it. Get feedback on it. You will learn so much. So many people will ask you so many questions that you will have never thought of yourself. And all it will do is help you get a better idea of what you're trying to do and what resonates with people. Nanigans, you're guilty of the forgetting what's tried and what hasn't. Yeah, there's so many iterations. Yeah, I don't expect people to remember all that. Certainly not. I barely remember all that from my projects. Sapphire, part of why you would like to start making YouTube videos when you can really start on game dev you need the accountability to keep yourself going. The accountability and the interaction is good. The accountability is definitely something that helps me. All right, so we have our auto-tiled coordinates for faces. We need to generate an auto-tiled coordinate for these blocks. So what we're going to do... So we still need to do this thing. We still need to get a set of coordinates and put in some block stuff. Hey, Rafferty FL, thank you for the follow. Hey, Hamburger 2099, what's going on? Welcome in. We are Digital Iliad. We're working on some FTL-like games in Godot. FTL-like and maybe even an FTL-lite. Working on some stuff. I'm kind of unfocused. I've been having a lot of eye strain, and it is making it hard to look at the screen, which is why we're kind of just yapping today. But we're really trying to get a new overlay in place. We're trying to get this selection, this dotted line selection overlay in place. And I think we're close. I just have to do the hard work now of actually converting, picking the right coordinates in the texture atlas based on the block coordinates. And I think doing it per block is straightforward because I can just do the iteration per block and have a similar auto-tiling structure to these checks. Actually, if anything, all I really need to do... We need a way of getting the edges from the bounding box as well as the corners. Would be neat. Life is going on. You just made the first demo of your first ever game. Oh, yeah. Feel free to put a link in the chat. Yeah, feel free to share in the Discord too. That's great. Got that demo up. Love to see that. Love to see it. All right. So we could do this two ways. We could just iterate for every coordinate in the bounds and then figure out where we are. Or we could try to get a specific set of coordinates back that we know more about. Either one is going to require some amount of bounds checking. So maybe we just do it naively. We could just say for each vector 3i coords in bounds. I think I'd rather do it this way. Because part of the reason I didn't want to do the per face version of this rendering is the model for getting that to work is not intuitive, because the faces you're rendering to are not the faces that belong to each block. So you need to project out, and it's just not obvious how you would want to iterate through that in a way that's straightforward. I mean, it is kind of obvious, but it's not something I want to do. So I think if we try to do it per block, it'll be more straightforward. It might be a little bit more busy work on the part of the system, but this is for such a limited application. I think it's fine. It's in the showcase chat. It is the best trailer you've ever seen. Ooh, okay. You got the trailer. You're way ahead of me. So do you already have the game plan done? You got, there's the vertical slice, aka the demo, the trailer, a glorified GIF. You got your Steam page up too? Are you working on these in reverse order to me? We're trying to get the Steam page up first, then a game trailer, and then a demo. And we're working on that this year. That's like our goal for this year. We're trying to get serious. It's day 2 of Q2. You know what I'm saying? We gotta get cooking. All right, I'm gonna check this stuff out. We got it up on itch. This doesn't look like a Rickroll. Let's check this out. Cursed Voyage. I'm not gonna download it, just for safety reasons. Maybe I need to get the itch sandbox set up, especially before Ludum Dare, so that I can actually play download only games. All right, I hear the whale up she rises. I see the sound. Let's see this little trailer. Okay, I like your little sea shanty aesthetic here. Yum rum. All right. Oh my god. What could you do that people would download it? It's tough. It's tough. People are afraid of download-only projects. This is hilarious. Is this like a zombie kind of thing? Cursed voice. Oh, no, that's a lot of them. Okay, it is definitely some kind of zombie thing. Oh, I see your shotgun. Or boomstick. There's sound effects and music to this. I'm not playing it. You can't hear it on stream. This is fun. Yeah, you got your demo, you got your trailer. What was that? Did you bee-saw it in the middle of your trailer? Oh, that's good. That's good. That made me laugh. That's sick. That's sick. Great job. Great job getting the trailer. Great job getting something up there. Your first ever game. You love to see it. That's funny. Yeah, a web build would be ideal. Like game jams, you have to make a web build because nobody's going to download anything. Game jam. And by no one, I mean like the smallest percentage of people are willing to download games. Itch has a sandbox mode where you can run executables in a safe environment. I haven't gotten that set up. I really need to. That's like a power user thing. You can't really expect typical people to have already set that up, but if you look closely, that's the death scene. Oh, that's hilarious. That's hilarious. That was like an in-game death scene. I was wondering how you recovered from it so quickly. That's funny. That's a funny thing to do. All right, so we're getting each of our coordinates. Now we need to do kind of like these the edge detection. But all we're going to really do here is we're just going to check each axis. All right, what are we going to do if the atlas coordinate returns 0, 0, 0, 0? I have not actually thought about that. So we would achieve an atlas coordinate of all zeros if the edges canceled each other out. So we would get that if either there was empty space on both ends, or all ends, all neighbors were empty, or all neighbors were occupied. If all neighbors are empty, we don't want to do anything. If all neighbors are occupied, I think we need an early check. I think we just need to do an early check to see if the bounds, the volume of the bounds is 1. So we'll just say if bounds.volume is 1. We'll just do something specific, and then we won't continue. We just return. We'd early return. Well, we'd do something and then early return. If not, we can ignore that case of the atlas chords equals 0 thing. So what else do we need to do here? All right, see you, Apollo. Fusionist, either web build or you rack up enough community trust over time. Yeah, that's really tough. So that's like, yeah, I've seen this guy in like 6 different jams, and I'll download his game because I trust him. Yeah, that's That's a high barrier, especially around like for Down to Jam. I would download anybody's game in Down to Jam because I know that community. I don't know everyone in the community, but I know the community. But there's a spectrum. So like high trust for the Down to Jam community. I have like medium trust for like the solo development community because like it's a pretty tight group, but it is huge. There's like 10,000 people in that Discord. So like medium level trust. But then you get to like Ludum Dare, and I have just absolutely low trust, right? You don't know. You don't know what people are putting up on Ludum Dare. It's such a big jam. Yeah, web builds can be tricky. Web builds can be tricky around, especially around rendering methods. So like in Godot, you are stuck on the compatibility renderer, which means you're using like OpenGL rather than like Vulkan or Direct3D or whatever. So there can definitely be some issues achieving your lighting effects across a web build. That's why one of my games, my first 3D game in Godot just doesn't have a web build because I created it using a different rendering model, and when I switched down to compatibility, I just couldn't get it to look right, and it just wasn't worth it for me. The performance was fine. I know Unity has some problems with web builds that maybe Godot doesn't, but Godot has problems with web builds that Unity doesn't. Like the Godot web build for C# doesn't work, right? It's trade-off. It's trade-off. Yeah, that's really cool. I'd love to follow along with your work. Hamburger. Hamburger. We were talking about American accents yesterday. Hamburger is a great one. If you can say hamburger convincingly, you've got it. Hamburger. Marjorie. All right, you're downloading WebGL. Ship it. Ship it. All right, so what we're going to do is we're just going to do simple checks. We're going to just do simple bound checks. This is really stupid, but this is how we're going to do this. We need to define the atlas coordinates here, maybe. Vector 4i dot 0. All right, new vector. So if it's singular, we're just going to do all of the drawing at once. We'll just add a bunch. And let's maybe start with that. All right, so what I want to do up here is we're going to replace these two with an add canvas item draws by block. We're going to pass in the game.input.cursor bounds. For now, we'll pass in the bounds format. Bounds, hold on. What did we call this? I didn't change the name up here. Actually, we'll call this... I don't know what we're going to call this. This is going to hide something. That's fine. The system will know when we mean one and not the other. Let's not worry about it. The fact that these are different representations is maybe a problem. Maybe it's the assets thing that should be holding the entity here rather than the canvas item drawing system. It's probably how we should do it, where the game updates all of these. And again, you keep seeing activity on the C# web progress, but TLDR, they don't think there's enough demand to get much resources to it. I don't think that's true, but I get it. They have such limited time. Everything they do has to be designed to focus to, impact the largest number of people, right? The largest possible number of users. And yeah, I feel like C# must be like a pretty significant portion because they have hired, I think, a full-time, maybe not full-time, but they have hired a C# maintainer, I believe, is what I believe I had heard. Because C# is, you know, big enough that they need a maintainer for it. But that might even be Adam Scott's job, kind of. All right, see you, Sapphire. We'll see you next week. Have a nice long holiday weekend. Godot C# on the web. Yeah, hopefully soon, Fusionist. Hopefully soon. I would love to be able to use all of this code that I've written in a jam project. You know what I'm saying? Bounds format. Bounds. This doesn't work. Because I have too many different references to bounds texture atlas format. We'll just not do this. We'll get a null reference exception anyway, right? That's a non-nullable type. Who cares? Also, wait, that's not how this works. Game.assets.bounds. Oh, that's exactly how that works. All right. Can I just use the buffer comps version of this? Not really. Who cares? Who cares? Monogame has been teasing web builds for over 5 years now. It's still not a thing. Jeez. You just can't partake in web-only jams as a result. Are your games always download-only? In jams? Game.input.cursor. Oh, yeah, I gotta finish this. Bounds. Format. Yeah, that's it. That's all we need for now. Shenanigans. You think Godot's been working on it for about 2 years. They have it working in a Docker prototype as long as you don't use specific features. Yeah, I don't remember what the caveats are either. It's definitely like a special version of the engine. I think it's more special than like, you know, the current mono executable people can use. Yeah. I didn't see it, but it was demonstrated at GodotCon Boston like a year ago. So it works. It's just, yeah, there's a lot of caveats to it right now. Fusionist, you're always download only. Interesting. Yeah, you were well known in the community. I don't think you have a problem with it. But yeah, that can be tough for someone starting out or someone doing a big jam. Because even like you're pretty well known, but like it's still an issue for sure. In the bigger jams. Yeah, that reminds me. I gotta get that itch sandbox thing set up, hopefully, for Ludum Dare. Or I'll just have to once again be like, I can't play your download-only game unless I know you personally or know you by reputation. And even then, I should be putting on like a different computer than my main computer. You're maybe cynical, but you think filtering out web-only people means on average people will be more patient and involved in trying out your entity. Yeah, that's true. That's true. Someone who's willing to download it is definitely someone who's probably going to put more attention and time into trying it. You'll be running a VM. I don't know. I want to just use the itch. Itch has a sandbox mode. that is supposed to work for executables. I haven't set it up, but I'm told that it exists. I read about it quite a bit. I'll either have time to set it up or I'll once again be like, sorry. Unless you're Fusionist, I'm not downloading your jam game. All right, so this is the bounds dot volume is equal to 1. I just want to get this case working. So this case, we're going to just pump out a bunch of draw calls at once, because it's kind of the worst case for us is actually when this is just a single block. It's kind of the worst possible scenario for us in terms of doing it efficiently. But you know, I think that's okay. I think that's okay. So let's just knock a bunch of those up. We can say something like, let's say like variable, well, let's just start adding stuff to the draw calls, right? We just need, all we need to do is know the Z index. So we'll say draw calls. I was thinking about this, and there's actually a really strong argument for the compartment-based rendering with this. So we want coords, not Atlas coords. We want, oh, we don't have the coords. Oh, we can just say bounds dot minimum. Oh, maybe we'll say your WebGL build is your WebGL thing is building. Your PC is screaming. Oh no. I guess it should be the center. I should get the center, but the center is a vector 3. Maybe we'll just floor the center or seal the center. Oh, maybe we'll just do whatever. Doesn't really matter. If the volume is 1, then the minimum and the maximum are identical, and it doesn't matter. So we'd say draw calls. We'd say coords.x plus coords.y plus coords.z plus 1 equals. We'll need to manipulate that. We would say dot put add a new canvas item thing. We're just gonna add a bunch of these. This is how we're gonna lazily do this. Canvas rect. So hallkey.x times 16 minus hallkey.y times 16 plus formatcomp.offset.x. Okay. Hallkey.x. So we would say coords.x, coords.y. I just pulled this from the X coord. It's different for the other ones, isn't it? Or is it the same? Okay, it looks like it's the same for all of them, which is good. All right, so we need to set the Atlas coords. Well, we could hard code this. So if we're on 1, we need to render this, this, this. We just need to render the corners, right? If we're on 1. Should I just pull that then? We could say vector 3i array corners equals bounds. Well, hold on. That doesn't help. Or does it? No, it doesn't. That would be the same. Yeah, we just need to hard code this. Here, we're going to say, we're going to go through the list. We can do this. Yeah, can we do this in a list? We could. I don't think we have that list ready. So we want to render this one, 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 this one. So we want to render. So this is the worst case scenario, and we're going to be rendering 12 blocks. It's okay, I guess. We need to tell it the 12, though. So we'll start here. Well, we'll start from the back, maybe. So we'll start here. So this is -1, -1, -1, -1. Variable offset equals new vector 4i. Oh, that's not the offset. Those are the atlas coordinates. We'll say atlas coords equals new vector 4i. We'll just say -1. That's pretty cool. You get a nice AMD chip. I have a 7950 X3D, which has been quite good for me. Texture ID. We need a new texture ID here. Oh, we need to put this in the registry. This isn't in the registry. We'll say private, constant, integer, bounds, texture ID. Let's say 5, 6, 7. This is a horrible way to track all this stuff. I made these systems that are designed to like make the art more replaceable in the future. God, is it a pain in the butt to maintain. Partly because I didn't actually finish. All right, here we go. Where is our... I have to re-export this file. There it is. Throw that in here. Ryzen 5 7600X. Ooh, nice. I almost got one of those. I think I ended up going with... I built some PCs recently. What did we end up choosing? I think I ended up going with 7600s for those. I made some mid-tier. Not the 7600X. It sounds like you're using some X features with the boosting and stuff. And again, unless anyone comes back with anything in the next half hour, you're done with work for the long weekend? Hell yeah. I am going to need you to come in on Saturday for those TPS reports. It does lack the 3D cache. Yeah, the 3D cache seems cool. I don't really play super demanding games. I mean, I was playing like Arc Raiders and stuff for a while, but not a big gamer. All right, what are we upset about? These are all texture 2Ds. Expected closing. Oh, there's a missing comma. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. This is the worst texture registry ever. We need to start having like Well, there's a question of how much we need, but I would really like to build in the default resources of the game as if they're just kind of its own mod, like a special mod. I really like that process. I feel like lots of games do that. I think Factorio does that. I think RimWorld does that. Shenanigans. You're torn between working on your game and fixing how tile sets are imported defined with a proper custom resource, or working on your content management app, or prepping for some D&D over the weekend. Yeah, there's always a lot of choices. Last night, I was like, all right, do I work on what I want to work on, or do I work on what I need to work on? I ended up working on this stuff, so hopefully it works. All right, what's the X factor for this? So the X factor... So I kind of want the Z index. No, I don't want the. I want the X factor to be the Atlas Coords W component. That's what I want. And then this is gonna be. All right, format comp origin.x plus Atlas Coords. Okay, so it can't be -1, really. I mean, it can, but we need to do something else. So we need to say, like, you say x, so we need to say +1. Oh, this is wrong. So why do we think we're using the Atlas coordinates here? I mean, this is what I do elsewhere, but when do we do the conversion into the format comp? When do we do that lookup? I'm unclear on this. Well, let me finish writing this piece of code here. When do we do that? When do we do that part? We do it here. So we get this buffer. We do it before. Oh, these are the Atlas chords. So auto-tiled chords is something else. This is something we convert like this. I see. I see. So we have to do this. We have to do this. So I auto-tiled chords is something else. All right, we'll do that. We'll use this convention. Rhiannon, you're switching to delivering on deadline will probably mean a lot more working on what you need to work on. Yeah. Yeah. It's going to take, the web build's going to take longer than expected. Yeah, it's not going to be an instant thing. No rush. We'd love to check it out when you do it. You know, drop it in the, you know, let us know in the Discord. All right. So we got to do this. So we got to get this index. So this is actually Atlas tiled coordinates. But I don't actually want to do the W. Oh wait, yeah, I do. Let me make sure this is what I think it is. So the first one, the second one of these is -1, -1, 1 -1. What? 1 -1. Actually, that might be right. No, it's not. How did I do this wrong? 1 is up. I don't know why I wrote that as if 1 is down. All right, well, we have to fix this before we do anything else. I have to go through and make sure these are right. I have to validate these. Yeah, I'm just gonna, what I'm gonna try to do, keep us delivering on deadline, is I'm gonna try to divvy up my time a little better in terms of like, this is time I work on like systems development. This is time I like do content stuff. Like I do, some of this stuff does need to keep on chugging in the background, but it needs to not be the priority. And that's a bit of a conundrum. All right, so this is interesting how these this format gets converted. So like if you look here, the first index of this texture atlas is this kind of straight line. And this is, if you look, this direction is the X direction. So down and to the right is the X axis for our isometric setup. So down and to the right is X. So this follows. So this line falls at the negative end of the x-axis. So we write this as -1. Along the y, it has no definite point along the y-axis. It extends along and in parallel to the y-axis. So we'll put 0 for the y-axis. This represents an edge above. So above this is outside of the bounds. So that's a +1 since the enemy's gate is down. Ours is up. And then for the W component, which is just a flag for rendering order, this is rendered at the back. So that's a -1 for the W. So that all in all would yield a -1, 0, 1, -1. And I messed this up here because I flipped. Oh wait, no, I didn't. This is correct. I just explained to myself why it's correct. This is at the edge. Above it is empty space, so 1 is correct. Okay, so these are good. And then so what we do is the tiled coordinates or whatever. The auto tiler figures out this relationship of the neighboring blocks of like, where's the edge of this boundary? And it represents that in this vector 4. And then we use that to look up the index of where the corresponding block is in the texture atlas. And that's all we're doing really with this formatting thing. But it's a little complicated. Not terribly, but a little. Nanigans. Right now you're intentionally avoiding any sort of structure to what you're working on when you have too much of that with deadlines for your day job. Yeah, no, I get it. We've spent the last 2 years not doing that, right? But we have a game plan now, so we can't keep doing that. For your personal stuff, you like being able to just bounce around and dig in, yeah, for whatever hits the mood for the day. I like doing that too, and there's an extent to which we will continue doing that, but we do need to have our eyes on the prize here for what I'm trying to achieve. I actually can't do, like, I'll pick whatever I want to work on, but once I start working on it, I cannot drop it until it's done, which is part of the reason why we're still working on this silly-ass selection overlay. That I should have just been like, this is more complicated than I thought it was. We already have a selection overlay that works fine, so let's just put a pin in this and come back to it later. That was the correct thing I should have done. Instead, I was like, we're doing this. We're making this new selection outline. Good overlays are overrated. We actually need to mix our old overlay into this new one, I'm realizing, for the editor tool. But at playtime, this is going to look sick. One of the things you like about game dev in particular, Nanigans, is that it's so multifaceted that when you get bored of something, there's completely different things to work on. Yeah, that's good. That's good. Good overlays are overpainted. Yeah, these are good. These are fun. We're going to keep it a little short today, but I do really want to get this working. I can't do a super long stream today, but I really want to get something rendering on the screen. All right, so these tiled coordinates here. You're just still building. Yeah, Unity builds can take a long time. And then you'll have to get it all uploaded to itch and get it working correctly. It's not going to be it's not a, I know it's technically like a one button fix, but it really isn't. It really isn't. So we have this Atlas index buffer. We figured this out. Atlas index is the index buffer. Auto-tiled coords.x. Why is this not going to work? Oh, I wrote Atlas tiled coords. That's silly. Actually, that's not bad. But we'll say auto-tiled. I actually feel pretty strongly that auto-tile is one word. But whatever. And then here's the Atlas coordinates. We actually don't want to just reassign these willy-nilly. So we take the index, we get the index with this lookup, and then we take that index and we divide it so that we actually get a vector 2i Atlas coords from it. This is how we figure it out. So this will need to be managed. So we'll keep handling this if bounds.volume is equal to 1. Welcome back, Apollo. If the bounds volume is 1, we know the coordinates are the minimum, and then we just need to iterate through. We'll just iterate. So we'll say the auto-tiled coordinates in this case, it's going to be, what did we say? We said -1, -1, -1, -1. And then here we'll say the Atlas index equals Atlas index buffer auto-tiled coords x. Boy, the tabbing is strong with this one. Stop it. If I want to go past the soft wrap, I let me go past the soft wrap. You know? All right, and then so we get that index, and then so we know the Atlas coords. I should just call this like tiled coords. It's kind of misunderstanding, but whatever. Like this, vector 2i, Atlas index, modulus, format comp dot counts dot x divided by, oh no, atlas index divided by format comp dot counts dot x. Not doing the whole 3 hours today. Yeah, I'm gonna cut things short. We'll probably go for another 30 minutes. I really want to see something. Current web version is the easy one. You aren't building again tonight. No worries. Good job getting that web build up. All right, so why are we upset here? Oh, because I need to say. Wait, you're not an int? No, you are an int. Variable int atlas index. What are you? Oh, you can't do it because it's not assigned. It's not initiated. Right. Duh. Now what? Vector 3i. Let's see, vector 3i. I'm not gonna. We don't need to initialize these, except for the index buffer. Well, the tiled coordinates is a 4i. There we go. Okay, so this should draw one texture. This is going to be tiled coordinates.w. Coords.x plus coords. Yeah. Why is it +1? I'm doing that everywhere, so I'll keep doing it. Maybe it's I have a background that I want to do. I think I did include support for a background Z layer. This feels like magic numbers to me. I don't know what this is for, but we're gonna trust that it works. Let's see if we get anything to happen, huh? It's gonna crash, but let's just see why. Oh! It is rendering something. Oh, I rendered way too much. It's also giving me the wrong coordinate somehow. But I also really messed up. The offset's wrong. I also needed to release the background and also the textures and then re-export. But we're rendering something. It's not the right thing. Oh, I have to tab over to the engine so it can re-import that file and then do it. That's an annoying thing about working mostly in Writer. It's a few times that I explicitly have to open the engine. Okay, now this is a totally different... No, it's the same texture. It's just the wrong one. What did I say? -1, -1, 1, -1. 0, 1. -1, -1, 1, -1. Should give me this one. -1, -1, 1, -1. What's this one? -1, -1, 0, -1. Did I not write that correctly? So 1, first 3, this one. Yeah, -1, -1, 0, -1. This is different. Why is it giving me this one? Weird. Block tile counts 3 by 8, correct. Block tile region 40 by 22. The offset is wrong for sure. I'm not quite sure in what way it's wrong, but it is for sure wrong. Hey, Ginger Boss, what's up? You're catching us here on a bit of an ad break. How's it going? Happy Thursday. You got a nice long holiday weekend ahead of you here. All right. Why is this like this? Why are you like this? -1, -1, 1, -1. Oh, can it? It can't be in this form, can it? Your index. I actually have to put this like this. I have to give it the absolute tiled coordinate set, or it's going to not work. That's unfortunate. Oh, this is still the wrong one, though. Very weird. 0020, also known as -1, -1, 1, -1. Okay, that one gave us one of these. Probably this one. You're working Friday and Monday? Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. I hope otherwise things are going good. All right, we're supposed to be drawing this one, but we're drawing this one. It's a conundrum. Am I encoding these wrong? When we actually build out the format file, or building out the buffer here. That's not it. This one? Block tile buffer, block tile chords. So we get this, we get it in that form, which we probably shouldn't get it in. No, this depends on, so we get this with it's signed. So the lookup can be that -1, +1 thing. And then when we build it, we go through this list. Bounds buffer, coords.x +1. Okay, so this is the problem. So it does need to be like this. So coords.x +1. So we're getting it in an absolute form here. This is the index. Oh, we're storing this in the 4-dimensional buffer. So we're indexing it with this vector 4. And we're storing the index of that point, right? That's how we encode this. So this should be correct. That does mean we need to look it up in absolute form when we look it up. So I can't look it up with the negatives and stuff. I can encode it that way. I don't know why I would, honestly, if that's the truth, if that's the way this works. So 0, 0, 2. 0 is negative, 1 is 0, 2 is 1. Quick sanity check here. If I just give it 0, 0, 0, do we get the upper left coordinate? No, we don't. Okay, that's curious. We get this one. It's also in the wrong spot. Offset is wrong. chords.x plus tile chords.y times 4 plus tile chords.z times 16 plus tile chords.w times 64. So this is 0, 0, 0, 0. Who is... Well, so much for this awesome progress we were making. What the heck one are we drawing? We're drawing one of these. Drawing one of these. This is very much not 0, 0, 0. This is in fact 2, 5. How are we getting that? Something about using the signed atlas coordinates is causing me some pain here. I'm not sure what. Oh, source rect. Atlas chords.x plus 1. I'm an idiot. All right, let's see what we get now. We should get the initial coordinate now. Okay, well, we're getting the one we want, but we shouldn't be, so that's also interesting. And also the offset is wrong. And also it's rendering in front of the other tile, which is also wrong. Oh, no, that's the tile. This is the tile we want. 0, 0, 0, 0 is very weird. How that worked. But hey, Commander, thanks for the hydrate. Ooh, Raid Master. Why do I feel like I know what you want to say here? All right, let's fix I think the offset number is wrong. Let's change that to be like -8. Try that again. See if we can get the offset correct. Oh, so it actually needs to be more. Then let's say -16. Hamburger, your web build is either too big or doesn't contain the right files. That is a huge pain in the butt with web builds. Is that there is a file size limit for itch, and I think by default your project will generally copy all of the files associated with your project, which is way more than what you want. Okay, so the Z indexing here is wrong. I want it to be tiled chords.w -1. I have some regrets with how I've arranged this, with how I've set this up. Okay. We'll get this in place and then we'll see how we want to change it. So let's just draw the rest of them. Let's draw the whole buffalo. So the first one we want. So we want a few of these. So we want this one. So this is -1, -1, 1, -1. 1, negative 1, 1, negative 1. Negative 1, 1, negative 1. Thanks for the hydrate. Thanks for the stretch. In Godot, there's ways of telling the build which resources to use. So you don't just try to include all the resources in the build, even the ones you're not using. If you think, like, when I've done 3D games, I usually put all of my assets that I plan to use in the project file, and then I don't usually use all of them. And then so I'll have to go through a process where I specify which folders or which files are actually to be included in the build. That's something you could maybe do if you think your project is bloated and you like aren't actually using all the files. If you are using all the files, you might just have a project that's too big for a web build, which is not uncommon for 3D games. But it is you can overcome it with optimization. All right, I should respect the stretch. I should respect the stretch commands. Yeah, I told you what folder was wrong. You'll see if it works if you remove it. Okay. Careful about, removing folders from your project. I guess I could store my z index as a file or as a number. Int z index equals this. The z index is going to be the same for all of these. All right, let's see if we're drawing two parts of this now. Okay, we're drawing 2 parts. And they're in the right spot. And they're being drawn in the right order. So the block is being drawn over it. That's good. All right, let's just keep it going. Let's keep it going. This is a rather contrived example when bounds.volume is equal to 1. I don't love this, but this is the trade-off. Is that when we're only rendering to 1 block, it's kind of gross. I could make room in the format where we could actually have a single piece. It wouldn't be a single piece, it would be a double piece, but we could figure something out. All right, so let's do the other one now. So this one is -1, 1, 1, -1. All right. We're getting more and more of this thing. We're getting more and more of this thing in there. It'll be cool when we can click, drag, and expand it out. If I'm gonna get at least this stupid cursor thing to render, I'll be happy. It's 130 megabytes. That exceeds. That is very much beyond the itch web upload size limit. Well, maybe not. Oh, so you can get burned by 2 different things. Their limits are 500 megabytes total extracted, 200 megabytes per file. And the real tricky part for me sometimes was that the zip file can't exceed 1,000 files in total. That can be annoying. Ooh, Butler. Butler allows larger uploads. I didn't know that. I wonder how that's set up. You might want to set up the Butler service. The itch.io Butler. It's really good for project management on itch. It's a little command line tool that lets you kind of like do some like CI/CD stuff for like build management, build deploy pipelines. I would check out Butler. Hey, LS Dev. How are you doing? Sorry, I don't know how long ago you posted that. Nanigans, your coffee grinder bit the dust 2 days ago? Oh no. Is it like a nice one? Is it like a burr grinder, or do you just use like a spice chopper? Nothing against spice choppers. They're just terrible, but nothing against them. All right. This one. So this one is 1111, which for us is 2222. All right. All right. It's coming together. It's coming together. Oh, wait, I skipped a couple. We also need... We also need this one, which is 1, 1, -1, 1, 1. And we also need -1, 1, 1, 1. All right, now what do we got? See you, Commander. Oh, you're the raid master. Am I raiding you? You didn't say. I guessed. All right. Well, I'm hoping you'll be. Oh, what's happening here? Index was outside the bounds of the array. Huh? What was that? What's that about? Oh, there might be some safety issues here. Okay, it's rendering all the pieces. We're gonna have some weird outside the window safety issues. But we're rendering most of our stupid little selection thing. Let's just add the other pieces. I really don't like the delay, but the fact that there's catch up is okay, I guess. Like it catches up. Yeah, you're gonna start stream soon? Okay. Well, we won't miss each other this time. I'll catch you. I'll be done in probably like 10 minutes or so. I just want to get this rendering. We'll figure out the stretchability of it and everything. I'll probably do that offline. Probably do that Monday when my eye strain has kind of gotten a little better. But thanks for hanging out. Appreciate the raid master redeem. This is so stupid. This is such a stupid way to handle this. But you know, we're delivering on deadline, so we're only getting started in terms of stupid things that we do. So why did I do these first? I feel like I should have done these last. Let's add the rest of these at the top. There's like a function I need to run instead of having this just duplicated. Like we should be able to make a canvas item drop param and just pass a format and a coordinate and maybe like a sorting suite. Or like sub-coordinate or something. There needs to be a better way than doing this whole thing every time. All right. So we're going to do this one. This one is -1, -1, -1, -1. Okay, so this is 0, 0, 0, 0. The system was right. Okay. We're rendering okay. We're rendering in order. We're going to turn off this one for a second. Web version seems okay. Good. Good. That's good to hear. Yeah, most games can manage it with a little caution, a little care. All right, so this is 1, -1, -1, -1. And then this one is -1, -1, -1, -1. Whoa. Oh, no, that's right. This one is 1, -1, -1, 1. The loading screen is stuck. Yeah, that should be pretty easy to clarify whether that's happening or not. There's probably an error if the loading screen is stuck, honestly. Yeah, I can't get past the loading screen either. Yeah, I'm sorry you're doing this in Unity. Nothing technically wrong with Unity, except I haven't touched Unity in a long time, so I have no idea how to help. I don't remember where we stopped here. So this was 1, -1, -1, 1. So then this one is -1, 1, -1, 1. And then this one's the last one, and this one is 1, 1, -1, 1. I gotta figure out this safety issue. Yeah, coords, -15, -23. You shouldn't be getting... This shouldn't be happening in that case. We're just gonna rerun it. Keep our eye on the prize here. All right. Okay, so we have a box. It's being rendered correctly based on Z index. So we have our new cursor box. This isn't actually the cursor box. The cursor box is going to be the little one. This is just a single block sized selection block. What I'm going to do is make it so that we can expand the area and it will scale out. It sucks that we're drawing 12. We have 12 draws just to cover this one box. But that stays fairly constant as we like raise it out. Or it increases linearly by size just in terms of adding the edges in the middle. So it's like 12 is the floor, which isn't great, but the ceiling is not very high either. It's better than like drawing per face, this thing that just keeps expanding out. But we are not saving the costs here. But yeah, we'll get it to do this. So there's already some interesting things about draw order. So like the bottom of this one is being rendered behind. Because it has a... Actually, why is that happening? It should be rendering in front. Oh, because they're part of the same Z layer. Or Z index layer. I gotta look into that. Why is that happening? You shouldn't be losing that visibility thing. I have to look at how I'm doing the Z layer, the Z index rendering, to see why the draw order is exactly that. Z face. Where do we do the Z faces? Oh yeah, I said I was gonna go. All right. Well, we're getting there. We're getting there. Slowly but surely. We'll expand this out so we can cover all of the different faces of it soon. So that we can expand it out and get this longer one, this longer selection box, and then put this as the cursor block. This will be the cursor one. And this will actually be simpler to implement. I think what this is going to do is this is going to expand to the bounds of any creature or object that you mouse over to give you an idea of the size of that total object. Is I think how I'm going to have this set up. And then this will be the measuring stick for when you're doing like boxed selections so that you can see how far you're boxing. I think that's how we're going to set it up. And yeah, I'll do that on my own time. Because when we come back, we got to get working on the game plan. We got to get started on our screenshot-driven development. Because we have a game plan. We need to make a Steam page. We need to do it this quarter. As early as possible. But yeah, I think we're going to wrap it up for the holiday here. For the holiday weekend. I'll be back on Tuesday. Yeah, planning. We've just been outlining. I said we'd be outlining and planning, but we've been spending all of our time outlining. We'll try to switch more to planning when we come back. But yeah, I hope everyone has a nice long holiday weekend here. We're going to set up our raid. Let me go make sure Commander's online, as they said they would be. All right, the Commander is online, and they are making music. That seems fun. go check them out. Thank you. Thank you. Set up this raid. Oh, I totally don't know how to type in a name. This has been fun. No worries. There's only so much we can help being non-Unity devs, but a lot of Godot developers have had experience with Unity. I think it will be just refining that list of resources that you're trying to include in the build. But yeah, I'm looking forward to checking out more of your game. Thanks for hanging out. Unity is very widely used. I'm sure if you searched for that specific problem, people would be able to, help out with that. But yeah, for what it's worth, it's nice to have you here in the community. Yeah, I hope to see more of your work. And then more widely, thanks everyone for watching. We'll be back Tuesday. So thank you all so much for watching. I hope you have a great rest of your day. And I will see you all next time. Get ready for the raid. Ship them if you got them. Bye.